So you already learned what is motion in straight line or in one dimension. And now we also learned motion in a plane or motion in two dimension, circular motion, projectile motion, and how the components are resolving. So this resolving components into two, that will be carried out now every chapter. Every chapter we are making use of that resolving components since we are studying two-dimensional motion. Okay, so don't forget about the chapter motion in plane, very important, not only for +1, for +2 also. And also if you go for higher classes, if you go for your entrance and as well as some degree or engineering level, this chapter is the basic motion in a plane. So make it sure you should alone have to resolve the components. Suppose if you give a circular motion something, you have to find out the resultant thing and how it will resolve. So it is X component and Y component. Y component, we call it as vertical component. Horizontal component, we call it X component. So that will be used now in all the chapters as we study in different quantities. Okay, may not be the same quantity, but we will be studying different quantity like momentum, work, energy, friction. All these things are coming now. So chapter 5, laws of motion. So first section of this chapter only have, yes?
Ma'am, it's a new chapter.
Yeah, it's a new chapter. Chapter 5, laws of motion. Fourth chapter is over. Okay. So the first part of this chapter is a revision for you. What we have learned in 9th standard. You remember 3 laws, Newton's 3 laws. Anyone remember any of the law? Newton's first law, Newton's second law, Newton's third law. Atul, can you tell me any of the law which you remember?
I think I remember the first law.
Okay, tell me that what is first law?
An object remains in a state of motion or state of rest until and unless acted upon by a force.
Yes, correct. Okay, that's correct. So Newton's first law, we call it another name. Anyone remember that name? Newton's first law, also we learned some kind of terms in that, starting with I. Anyone remember that?
Inertia.
Inertia, yes. So Newton's first law, also known as law of inertia. So what is inertia? Since it is a, what is inertia? Since a 9th standard topic, anyone remember what ma'am taught you? I didn't need to miss, no? While you are learning. Anyone remember what is inertia? Anyone?
When we are traveling in a bus,
Yes, when we are traveling in a bus.
suddenly if the bus accelerates,
What
then
happens?
our body will go backwards.
Okay. When apply the brake. Suppose you are standing on a moving bus. When suddenly the driver apply the brake, that in which part your body moves, backward or forward? Suddenly apply the brake. Donna, have you traveled in the bus? No. So if the when driver suddenly applies the brake, in which direction you move your body?
Forward.
Okay. Is your entire body move? Sania, when the driver applies the brake, is that your entire body move forward or only half part of the body move forward? Which is more have a tendency to fall? Lower part or upper part of your body? Any idea? Think about you are moving in a bus, suddenly driver applies the brake, you move forward this. So I just acted on you, no? Just we move like this. So is my entire body start moving or only some part? At least you want me to act for you, huh?
Only half part, ma'am.
part. Okay.
Legs.
Legs are on the bus platform. Correct.
It starts moving.
So the legs start moving or your body. If I'm just showing this way. So which part is actually moving forward? Lower part or upper part? I'm standing
Upper part.
upper part. Okay. Upper part moves. So this is, we say, an example of your inertia. Why? The reason is that a bus is in motion. Your body, according to Adul said, first law of motion. That is, whenever a body, Newton's first law says that a body remains in state of rest or state of motion until an external unbalanced force applied. Okay. So, as the bus is moving, you are standing or you are sitting. Actually, you are in a straight line motion. The motion of the bus and your body is synchronized. Okay. You don't feel it. Sometimes you are sitting in the bus. When you go out, when you look outside, you feel that the people outside is moving, trees are moving, your constructions are moving, but you don't feel that you are the person who is moving because you are in a balanced condition with the motion of the bus. You are in the balanced condition of the motion of the bus. When suddenly driver applies the brake. So braking force is the unbalanced force. Okay. So then suddenly whether you are sitting or whether you are standing, your upper body moves, but lower part of the body is still in synchronized with the bus motion. So when suddenly the driver applies the brake, the bus comes to a halt. Therefore, your lower part of the body, that is under the waistline, including legs, it also will comes to halt with the bus. But your upper part will be continue moving in the direction. That is what we are about to fall forward. Okay. So which part is coming to halt with the bus? Your lower part. So your feet under the waist part, it come into a halt when the bus applies the brake, but your upper part of the body, it exhibit inertia. So inertia, you can define, it is the property of a material to resist any change. The inertia is the property of a material to resist any change. So those who forgot what is the definition of inertia, you can write. It is the inherent, not simple inherent. Every object has a property. So it is not only the property, it is inherent. Inherent means by birth itself. It is the inherent property of an object to remain. The property is inherent property of an object to remain its state of rest or state of motion. Remain its state of motion when an external unbalanced force applied. When an external unbalanced force applies. Another way we can define, it is a property to resist. Other way you can write, it is a property to resist any change. Property. You can also say it is a tendency. So any three ways you define the word inertia, it's okay. It is a property to resist any change in an object, or it is a tendency. It is a tendency of an object to resist. So these are the three ways we can define the inertia. One is, it is the inherent property of an object to remain in state of rest or state of motion when an external unbalanced force applied. And another way we can define, it is a property to resist any change in the state of an object. Other way, it is a tendency of an object to resist. Okay. So in that, when we talk about balance and balance force, we go back to that 9th standard, some of the things regarding balance and unbalanced force, because we require this now. Okay, so that is inertia. So first law of motion, we call it as law of inertia, and it is the application of a force. It is the application of a force applying on an object. So just look at this picture. So in this picture, you can see there is a table and there is a book on that. Just forget about anything. You can see that whenever you keep a book, that book is remain its a state of rest without changing it. Okay. Can you tell me the reason why a book is lying on the table without falling? Anyone can tell me?
Static friction.
Huh?
It's static friction.
So one is static friction. Okay. Is it only static friction is there?
Then gravity.
Gravitational force. Correct. Gravitational force. Okay. Then gravitational force. So what is happening here? Gravitational force. In which direction gravitational force acts? In which direction gravitational force acts?
Downwards.
Gravitational force act downwards. At the same time, there is also static friction. Static friction between the table and the book. At the same time, you have learned in 9th standard upthrust. Anyone remember Ashwin? Aditya, do you remember what is upthrust or buoyant force?
No, ma'am.
Punya, do you remember upthrust or buoyant force in 9th standard when you learned density and all that?
Ma'am, perpendicular force
Particular force?
acting on.
Acting normal. Particular force acting normal. That means when the gravitational force acting on the object, there is a counter by Newton's third law. Newton's third law. What is Newton's third law? Someone remember Newton's third
Every action has an equal and opposite reaction.
reaction? Yeah. So because of that, what is happening here? When there is a gravitational force is acting, there is a counter force which is equal in magnitude and direction acting upwards. That is what we call upthrust. The upward force acting normal by the air or liquid. So there is upthrust in the liquid also, there is an upthrust in the air also. So here, when the if there is a frictional force is acting in one direction, there is another force, counter force, which is acting opposite to it. So when all these forces are acting, this is plus 5, this is minus 5. Okay, this gravitational force always plus 5, this is minus 5. Frictional force is negative and other force is plus. If you add all these forces, what will be the net force we get it? This is plus 5, that is minus 5. This is minus 5, this is plus 5. What is the total net force in this acting on table?
Zero.
0. So all the forces which is acting on the table is 0. That's what we can say that the book is lying on the table. Similarly, same thing also happened to the table. Book was lying on the table. Similarly, table also lying on the floor. Same balanced force or zero balance condition. So this zero balance condition is actually known as balanced force. So as we see, you are sitting on your chair. Someone pushes you, you may fall. But now nothing has happened to your body. The same effect. Same effect, all type of forces are acting on you, but all these are cancel out equally and oppositely. So this is because of balanced condition, and this is a condition. A zero force balanced condition is, we call it as balanced force. Okay. So that is about the balance and balanced force. And as you see here, When the body started to move, the body started to move once the force which is acting opposite direction, you should overcome that. Just like these two boys, they are pushing. If you look at the first picture, you look here. If you look at this arrow, these arrows are indicating the direction of the force applied. Arrows are indicating the direction of force applied. If you look at this, both arrow sizes same. Now look at the second picture. In second picture, the first arrow, the pushing force is little more increased, but still the object is not moving because of the frictional force. Again, they apply the force. Then it is a large force is applied. You can see look at the length of the arrow because force is a vector quantity. So look at the length of the arrow. So that means in this case, a large force is applied. Then you can say that the box is started moving. So this is unbalanced force condition. So if a force make an object to change its state of rest or state of motion, then we call it is an unbalanced force. A force. So what is unbalanced force? A force which acts on an object changes its state of rest or state of motion, then we call it is an unbalanced force. It can be anything. It can be gravitation for some cases. It can be upthrust in some cases. It can be the force what we apply on a moving body. A football is rolling. A football is rolling constantly. Football is rolling constantly. And if you give a kick, you are applying unbalanced force on the football. Then the football which is rolling, it will speed up its rolling motion. So all these are unbalanced force. So depending upon the situations, unbalanced force can be anything. Okay. So I hope you understood Newton's first law. So what is Newton's first law? So before we go to first law, already Atul has said the same thing. You don't have to write because already you have learned it. So those who want, you can write if you want. That is, a body remains in state of rest. A body remains in state of rest or state of motion. So this is Newton's first law of motion. Those who want, you can just write down because we wanted this one in our future. Oh, 1 minute, children. Let me share it properly. So those who want, you can write down. An object remains in a state of rest or of uniform motion in a straight line unless compelled to change that state by an applied unbalanced force. So you can see this picture. It is also a Newton's first law. The girl is skating on the box on a skating board. She moves with the uniform motion without falling. So that is Newton's first law.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, can you define unbalanced motion once more?
Okay. A force which changes the state of rest. A force which changes the state of rest or state of motion. Then it is said to be unbalanced force. Then it's said to be unbalanced force. A force which changes state of rest or state of motion, then it is said to be unbalanced force. Naureen, Anna, Nia, Emmanuel, what happened to your video? I told you, please don't switch off the video. Those who are network problem, I can understand. Others are constant. Ashwin and Emmanuel, you don't have network problem. I know very well. Alvin, if you are going to do like that, what's the point of it? Whatever maybe I have to ask, I will ask. Did you write the Newton's first law, children?
Ma'am, not
Yeah.
completed.
Okay, just write now. You can see the board, no? You can complete it now. Okay. Okay. Now we will just learn types of inertia. Okay. Actually, when you talk about law of inertia, we can say that mass is the measurement of inertia, just like weight. Weight we will measure using spring balance, gravitational force. With the help of gravitational force, we can measure the weight. Similarly, mass is the measure of inertia. So what does it mean? Heavier the object, larger the inertia. Mass is the measure of inertia. What is the meaning of it? Heavier the object, larger the inertia, or vice versa. Lighter the object, less is the inertia. So on the basis, we have two types of inertia. Three types of inertia. First one is inertia of rest. So types of inertia next. So mass is the measure of inertia. Next, types of inertia. First one, inertia of rest. From this you understand the inertia of the body which is at rest is inertia of rest. So you can write it is the resistance of the body. It is the, we can write a simple way, it is the resistance of a body to change its state of rest. Change its state of rest. So we can write example as you see. When a bus suddenly starts, passengers move backward. So because it is state of rest, what we discussed was moving. So in this case, bus was stopped. Suddenly, the driver starts the bus, the person is moved. So the passengers move backward, the same thing. So in this case, what happened? It is just opposite. Lower part of the body tried to move with the bus. At the same time, your upper part body remain in state of rest. So the upper part move backward, but your feet and other lower part start moving with the bus. So that is the reason for this one, inertia of rest. Can I change now? Did you write?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next, inertia of motion. Inertia of motion. So, it is the resistance of the body. The resistance of a body to change the state of motion. To change the state of motion. So that is what we explained in the first part of it. We can write the same example. When a driver suddenly applies a brake, the passengers move forward. So this is just opposite of the previous one. Motion is move. That I already explained to you. So third one. Have you completed, children, all of you? Michael?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Third type is inertia of direction. Inertia of direction. That means the resistance to change the direction. Is the resistance of the body. The resistance of a body to change its direction. Example, I think in your 10th, 9th standard itself, whenever you take a turn of the car, if the car is turning right side, you started flowing in opposite side. So that is the reason of changing the direction. Okay. A motor vehicle, a motor car takes turn on right side. The passengers move in opposite side. Why? Because the body of the passengers resist to turn the body in right side. So that is an example of inertia of direction. So we have completed first promotion because you don't have much detailed study because that has been deleted for you. So only just learn the statement, what is inertia and type of inertia. That's enough for you to the Newton's first law of motion. Now Newton's second law of motion. So Newton's second law of motion, you remember, momentum. Okay, it's a law of momentum. Newton's second law of motion is known as law of momentum. So have you known the word momentum? Momentum of a person who is running. Momentum of the cricket fielder. What do you mean by this momentum? Anyone would like to know what is momentum? We have already learned in 9th, it is momentum. Anyone remembers? Nia, Punya, Naureen? No. Sometimes you can't remember.
MV, M into V.
M into V. That's correct, Gauri. What you are saying is correct. What is M, Gauri?
Mass.
Is V?
Velocity.
That's it, because we don't have to break, because we are so far all the 3 chapters we are talking about the velocity only. So momentum is the product of mass and velocity. So this Newton's second law of motion, also known as law of momentum. First one is known as law of inertia, and second one is known as law of momentum. So momentum is the product of mass and velocity. Yeah. So anyone remember what is Newton's second law connecting momentum? Or any equation you remember? Because of Newton's second law only, first time we started calculating the force. We are
Ma'am.
calculating. Tell
Like momentum before collision is equal to momentum after collision.
that is conservation of momentum. So that we come after Newton's first law, second law of motion. There is something relating momentum and force. They are interconnected. So the first equation is comprised by Newton to find the force acting on an object, not gravitational force, the force. If you push a table, how much force you are acting on that? You push a book. This has been calculated by Newton by using this Newton's second law. So Newton's second law is rate of change in momentum is, do you remember that? Can you complete that? Rate of change in momentum is directly proportional to the applied unbalanced force in the direction of force. So that is Newton's second law. Says that the rate of change of momentum of an object is directly proportional to the applied unbalanced force in the direction of force. That is, F is directly proportional to mv by mv minus u. M into v minus u, because it is change in momentum. So usually we can represent this one in terms of F is directly proportional to m into v minus u by t, where v is final velocity, u is initial velocity. So final momentum minus initial momentum in particular time. That is rate of change in momentum. Rate of change in momentum means momentum is changing in unit second. So connecting that, what is this v minus u by t? What is v minus u by t?
Acceleration.
Acceleration. So from that only we are getting equation F is equal to mass into acceleration. So this is what Newton has expressed force. First, find out the momentum in a 2 different time. So rate of change in momentum means change in momentum in a particular time or unit time. So F is directly proportional to m into v minus u by t, where v minus u by t is acceleration. That is F is equal to ma. So far we are discussing one-dimensional acceleration, going to be two-dimensional afterwards. Okay. So F is equal to ma. And one more condition is there. One more condition is that if the Newton's second law, if the Newton's second law will be applicable only if mass is constant. If there is no constant mass, final momentum and initial momentum, at every time the mass of the object should be constant. Otherwise, Newton's second law is not applicable. So there's a condition for it. So Newton's second law will be applicable in practical life if mass is constant. Otherwise, we cannot solve F is equal to m into a. Okay. So that is about Newton's second law. So rate of change in momentum is directly proportional to the external unbalanced force, and momentum is a vector quantity. It is acting in the same direction of the force. It is acting in the same direction of the force. So if a bowler, now there's IPL is going on. I think some of you must have watching the IPL. So you see it, when a pace bowler is running fast, because he has to throw the ball at 150 meter per second. Sometimes some of the bowlers are 130 meter per second. With that much speed only, they are bowling it. So they are running and coming. Why they are running and coming? They are maintaining the momentum of their motion. So once they maintain the momentum, when they throw the ball, whatever is the energy they have, they are transferring to the ball. Whatever energy they have, it is transferring to the ball. Okay, so that is why the ball is going in on a correct pace and it is reaching to the batsman. So that is momentum. Yeah, if that bowler may not have a momentum, proper momentum, he cannot ball it properly, and also he cannot get that much speed. He cannot get that much speed. Okay, so momentum is something. It is give you a energy to do something. Okay, so that's it. Okay, children. So I am winding up the session now. Next class, we will meet at afternoon. We'll continue with the rest of the law. Okay, thank you.